You ever heard that, Larry? Has any of your sellers ever come back to you off an offer and say, "Do you think we got more?"
Oh, absolutely. The last house that I sold, the seller was not real estate educated at all, but of course was looking at all the houses that were selling around him and started asking, okay, what did the rest of the houses, around me sell for? And so on. He did like all these upgrades in the house. So of course he thought the house was worth a whole lot more than it really was in the marketplace. And the line or the topic that I got onto that helped reel him in a little bit was kind of joining him in his excitement about all the upgrades he had done to add more value to the house, which in the listing consultation, listing appointment, we talked about. I said, there's a whole lot of value here, and the more that you can give me as far as receipts for what work was done and so on, we can add that up and take a look at everything. However, the key point that I pointed out to him to try and reel him in was, then we have to also take into consideration the appraisal value, because we can't have a situation. Well, here is the situation. If we price the house higher than than the market says it's worth based on other sales and everything else, we have to face the appraiser coming in and meeting that higher price. That's where a problem can come in. So we have to be careful about where we price this and be ready for a possibility that if we list high and the sale price goes high, and then an appraiser comes in and tells us the house isn't worth the number that we're at, we have to look at either giving some money back or negotiating with the buyer about how much they'll come up to make the difference, so on and so forth. So I'm excited about this house because you've got these upgrades and there's a whole lot of value here, but we also have to be careful about considering the appraisal value.
You got to bring them back to home, right? That we're seeing the appraisers are out there being the backstop on the market, and which I don't understand. If you've got 5 people that were willing to pay $250,000 for this house, that would tell me the value of that house is pretty close to $250, not $225. One thing is for certain: if you're going to stretch yourselves and stretch your clients, have a game plan. I love this question: what happens when, not if, when? What happens when it doesn't appraise? A simple switch of those words, if and when, creates stability in the question. If I were to ask you what happens if, you could answer with, well, we'll see. When I ask you what will happen when, now your brain is already formulating a plan based on what I'm going to say next. It doesn't appraise. Your brain instantly thinks about, okay, it's not going to appraise. What are we going to do then? It's important, like we talked about yesterday, is slipping a couple of different words in will make a normal statement a powerful statement just by changing the way we talk. Salespeople in total tend to be very gray in their conversations, like weaving between the lines. It never is a hard stop, like, that sounds like a great plan. Or, as far as I can tell. Who's ever said something like that? As far as I can tell, my best guess is, and it's never a hard set fact. It's never yes or no. We try to dance in the gray, and people tend to follow in that. If you're dancing in the gray, they will respond in kind. If we come right out and say, listen, what happens when it doesn't appraise? I'll list your house for whatever price you want to sell it for. I work for you. I'm here to help advise you so you can make the best decision possible and keep your guys' self out of harm. Now, what happens when it doesn't appraise? Well, what do you mean by that? Well, if it doesn't appraise for the value that you want, we're going to have to either reduce our sales price, cancel the contract, put it back on the market, and gamble to get another offer, or hopefully the buyer's got the cash to bring it up to flush. Notice yeah. Go ahead, Larry.
I was just going to say, which happens rarely.
Hopefully. And I like to be hopeful. And seeing my tone, did I sound super hopeful the buyer was going to do that? It was almost as hopeful as Santa Claus showing up in the middle of July. maybe Santa Claus will show up. If I tell my son maybe Santa Claus will show up today, my son's gonna be like, Daddy, you're a liar. Your clients can tell the same thing. So push that. It's the emotion you put into it is the response you're going to get. So what happens when? What happens when we put it on the market for $250,000, which is $20,000 more than the average comp in the area, and you don't get an offer the first couple of days or the first week or the first 2 weeks? What's our game plan then? When you can get your sellers to align with you and have an agreement as a team instead of just taking your advice and running with it, they're more bought into it. Now let's go through a scenario. You have a problem of waking up in the morning. How do you fix it?
My brother had that problem, and I just dumped a glass of water in his face. That pretty much took care of it.
Yeah. So are you saying some form of external method to wake you up?
Yes, it worked perfectly.
like maybe a second alarm clock or three alarm clocks.
Second alarm clock, third alarm clock. Did you know that if you answered that question in your head or out loud, it doesn't matter, that you subconsciously are buying into the decisions of getting whatever you need to solve that problem? Instead of me going, Samantha, you're always late. You don't wake up on time. Get an alarm clock. Now your brain, depending on what side of the hemisphere it's on, it could be did say wake up the wrong side of the bed. You can be like, that's a great idea, Dan. I'm going to buy an alarm clock. Amazon alarm clock send. I'll have it this afternoon. Or you'd be like, heck with you, man. You don't tell me what to do. I'm never going to do that. And then you're never going to buy one. But if I ask a question and you guys elicit the response, it's you that are making that response. It's you that's inciting that change. All I do now is fortify it. So as an agent, we ask those questions. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on the information I've given you, where would you like to price your house? And if they're still unrealistic, we ask the question, what happens when it doesn't appraise? Not, well, if it doesn't appraise, we're just going to have to lower the price. Again, two brains. You're right, or heckin' man, you're wrong. You're heckin' wrong, man.
Yeah, you're getting them to think about, how do I buy into that? That's something, that's actually for most sellers, it's like, that's something I have to consider.
Right. Absolutely. A lot of people don't know these. I'm sorry, HGTV has never shown anything that was negative about real estate other than a dirty toilet. And those of you who laughed, I know watch way too much House Flippers. Real estate is messy. It's because people make it messy. It's all about asking the right questions to elicit the brain to start thinking in an order that makes sense. And that's what scripting is when you say the right things in the right cadence with the right tone, you slow it down, you put strategic pauses in there. Love the man or hate the man. Obama, was he not a great speaker?
Fantastic.
Think about how he talked. Ladies, gentlemen, it was pausing. It was framing the entire conversation. So that was scripting. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So we changed simple words from if to when. We changed thoughts from presenting ideas to soliciting ideas. What are your thoughts? What do you want to do? I love it when they say, Dan, you're the professional. What do you think? I think you and I need to make a decision so that we can move forward.
Dan, I'm sorry I missed the beginning of this, but as a script that someone shared recently, just because you're talking about pricing, I'm sorry if I missed the context, but they talked about the one guy who did training with us, like the fishing analogy of pricing it where you have a lot of fish looking, biting, so pricing it just a tiny bit low to the market perhaps, so you get a lot more activity, and then bidding it up. So that just seemed like a really good strategy that might work with some people as far as pricing.
That's good. It's you can use analogy for depth, and that's what they're going for. And you can draw a graph out, and sometimes scripting is visual. And I wish I had that graphic. I don't know if I do, Miss Mora, the fishing graphic.
So
if
the
I do
point
it.
was, if you price it too high, there's hardly anybody looking there. But if you price it at a slightly below the market, you'll get lots of people looking, and they definitely will bid it up. And in this market, we're seeing that anyway, right? If we price it right, people are bidding it up. So
Which is tough. And then on the other side of that, you're going to find, you're going to find clients out there that come from, and this is not to be any kind of, not to skew it anyway, but there are definitely cultures out there that are predicated on negotiations way harder than the American society. Middle Eastern clientele, Asian clientele, some African communities are extremely embedded in negotiation, where everything is a starting point and they go down. It's very difficult in a market like that to have a client that thinks that this is, they're asking for exactly what they want. I'm going to come off of that price, not realizing that some of the pricing out there is lower than they want, knowing that it's going to incite more traffic and bid it up. We have to touch into that culture. We talked about it yesterday a little bit, how people come from different backgrounds and how that background is going to change how they receive and understand things. When we have our scripting with these people, it's just, we talk about, okay, what's important about that? Sometimes it's a win. Well, I'm not paying price. I'm not paying full price. Anyone know somebody's never pays full price? I don't pay full price for anything, right? I don't pay retail. Retail means I'm not paying. All right, sir. Well, you're not going to own it.
So Dan, yeah, obviously, like with every new buyer right now, I try to warn them literally in the first conversation, because I don't want to work with someone who doesn't understand the market. So I'm like, I want you to understand we're going into battle here, and it's not the time to get a deal on price. But I mentioned it is a time to get a deal on interest rates. So you're still getting a good value. But in order to get the house, we're going to have to be super competitive. And that right now usually means above asking price. So
good. And that's what I wanted to get into today is we talked sellers yesterday. I want to talk the buyers aspect today. And there's a lot of that. What do you mean I got to pay more? Right? How are we going to handle that? Who wants to give it a shot? Mara kind of gave you some background. We can let Mara go again if you want. But she's already got it down. I think someone else needs to give it a shot. Maybe the 15 of you that don't have your cameras on.
you guys.
I can script with myself. I'm good at it. I talk to myself all the time.
It'll be nice. It'll be fine.
I won't even be the client. I'll step out.
Hey, I can do it with you.
Okay, I'll do it with you, Mara.
Love it. Love it. Miss Davis coming out, being bold. Hey. All right. Mara's the client. Miss Samantha, you are the agent.
So I'm calling to buy. Yeah. Okay. So what if it was a sign call? I saw your sign. I'm looking at this house. I'm considering buying, that sort of thing.
Okay,
You-
sure.
If you want to come, I think it could be that, or you could just be, you guys are buyers working to put an offer on a house, and then she's advising you how to win.
Your scenario.
Okay, we'll do the how to win. That way we won't have to go through all the, like, what are you looking for? So tell me, what area of town interests you? Blah, blah, blah. So we'll, you saw how she loved, and we're going to strategize about putting in the offer.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Let's go. All right, so I'm so glad that you love the house on Crown King Road. Let's figure out our strategy for putting in the offer so that you can win this home.
Okay. What do you think we can do? Because I really don't want to pay full price.
Well, right now, we've had our initial conversation about where the market is at, and typically full price is the starting point. And so what do you feel comfortable asking, or I'm sorry, what do you feel comfortable as a purchase point for this home?
Well, I'm relying on your expertise. Have you run comps for this area? Because I really am not sure if it's a reasonable price or not.
Yes, so there are comps for the area, and the last 3 homes that have sold anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 over ask. And then we can get into what those offers looks like, because I have reached out to those agents as well.
Okay. Well, so what do you think? What do you think is a good price?
So you love the home. I will tell you that $5,000 over means an extra $20 a month, given where interest rates are, and $10,000 would probably mean about around $50 a month. So is it worth $50 extra to you per month to own this home, given that you love it and it's perfect for you?
Oh, 10,000 seems like a lot. Do you think we have to go that high to get it?
Well, what we can do is something called an escalation clause in our contract. And what that is kind of like if you know eBay, I'll pay an extra dollar above your highest offer up to this amount. And so that can keep you in an area where you're comfortable and not go above it. But then you also won't lose out on this house you love over $1,000. So do you feel comfortable starting with going in at 5,000 over ask and adding that escalation clause up to that 10 so that you're not going into an area that you're uncomfortable?
5 sounds good. You think we have to go all the way to 10, huh? I mean, I guess if I went to 8 or 9 and then I lost it because it was a 10, I'd be pretty upset.
Yes, and I don't want to see you lose it because I just know how much you love it and how perfect it is for you and the family.
Okay, I guess.
All right, let's do it. So we'll start with 5,000 above ask. And then in our escalation clause, we'll add that we're going to beat the highest offer by $1,000 up to that 10. And once we go beyond that, it seems like that's an area you're uncomfortable with. And that's okay. It just means that our perfect house isn't actually this one. And we'll keep looking for the one that actually is.
Okay, sounds like a game plan. Thank
All
you.
right, let's do it.
All right. I know I was a little too easy, probably, but
Yeah, you were easy. Thank you for that.
But it shows the people in the call you don't have to be scared to jump in there and do this. This is where you learn, guys. So don't be afraid. Asking like Samantha said, how would you feel if we only wrote 9,000 and you lost it? Right, bringing it back.
And the ultimate power in that whole discussion is taking it off of the glaring $10,000 number and taking it back to the amount of the extra payment each month. It's breaking it down to the simplest terms and the easiest terms to bite. Again, 10,000 is huge to everybody. I'm paying another 10,000. No, you're paying another $40 a month. If around 20, like you said, around $20 a month for 5,000 right now with interest rates where they are, it's for $40 a month. And even at 10,000, which we agree is a stretch, but at $40 a month, one dinner out during the entire month, is this house worth it for $40 a month? Not the extra 5,000 or the 10,000, but the $40 a month in your payment, because that's how it finances out with interest rates where they are today. So you have the power to actually go to the $10,000 mark if you're comfortable with $40 a month, because we're really not talking about $10,000 in price. It's a raw number, but because of your financing opportunity with these low interest rates, we're only talking about $40 a month in your payment. Is it worth it for you to $40 a month, one dinner out a month, to get this house or let this house go if you don't go to that number? Where are you comfortable letting the house go?
And what he's talking about is reducing it to the ridiculous. When you're talking about that, Samantha broke it down. Say, hey, $10,000 is a lot of money. I get that. It's only going to cost you about $40 a month. And if they're still kicking back, or you said, Miss Moore, you're telling me that for less than $2 a day, you're willing to walk away from the house that you told me it was perfect, your family loves, your husband loves the backyard, the garage, and it's got the kitchen you've been looking for?
yeah, I guess you're right. We should do it.
So
absolutely. Let's go to 15.
and what I've done, I've even did that. Okay, well, that's awesome. So we're agreement here. We're going to ask a little bit more than asking price on the house. We're going to offer a little bit more, incentivize the deal. Now, if we find out that someone came in $15,000 more than that, or $15,000 over list price, are you going to be upset?
No, I think I'll just have to look for another house.
So you can do is you can find out how much somebody loves a house, and then keep baby stepping them up. I went from somebody wanting to spend $1,000 over list to $12,000 over list by asking, tell me if we get beat by $500, are you going to be upset about that? You just keep etching. So good job, Samantha. Thank you, Mara, for helping out. Let's do it again. Someone else.
Good job, Samantha. Very good.
Thanks, Mara. You were great.
Who's feeling bold? I can tell 12 of you are feeling scared. It's It's okay, guys. This is a safe space.
All
Not
right,
like you- Who's up? Cindy's up.
You guys.
Who's going to be her? Larry. Larry
What?
gets to be the client.
Larry can be the client. Uh-oh. Right?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. All right, is it the same scenario?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So Larry, let's talk about what you would like to offer on this dream home of yours that we just found for you.
Yeah, we really like the house and so on, but I mean, we know what the sale price, list price is, and we're feeling like that's a little above where we really wanted to go to try and buy something in the market. But we really like the house. So, you know, how do you see this playing out that we can try and win this deal? Do you think this house is going to have a bunch of people trying to buy it, or can we just go in at list price and see what happens?
Well, in our current market right now, we are seeing that list price is actually the starting point. Homes are selling very quickly. They're not staying on the market very long. So if this is your dream home, we have to act now and submit our offer. And I would suggest going by the comps, this home is priced right. But in order for us to even be competitive, we have to submit your best and highest offer on this home. Now, I don't want you to go beyond your means, of course, but if you can see perhaps living in this home, I would say, you know, maybe for a good, you know, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, is it worth possibly maybe going over list price by maybe 5 to 10,000 and making your pretty wife happy?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but you know, what is it when I bought a house in the past, usually we were able to buy below list price, like list, you know, the house was listed for something, but you know, we were able to buy maybe, you know, $5,000 or $6,000 under. Why is list price now a starting point? Why, you know, I'm not quite understanding that.
We're just living in a different time now. The market is completely different than from back then. So we have to go by what the market is right now. So the market value, the market right now is, this is the way it is where you are starting at that point. We're just not in that other market right now. It's a very high seller's market right now. So unfortunately, trying to perhaps submit a lower offer is not going to be competitive with other offers. There will be other offers out there that are going to go above list price so they can get this home. So what we can do though, what we can do is we can enter an escalation clause that says that you will be willing to pay up to a certain price point and nothing above that. So they know that at least you are, you know, going to be able to pay at this point, and perhaps that might beat out somebody else who doesn't include an escalation clause. So if you feel comfortable going maybe 5,000 over, then we can include that in the escalation clause. And that way, you know, hey, we tried, we put our name in the hat, and maybe our name is picked and you'll be the winner.
Okay, I've never heard of this escalation thing that you're talking about. So you know, I feel like it's just like my money is an open bank and they're just can take more and more and more. I mean,
No,
I've never heard of this and trying to buy a house before.
well, the escalation clause is you will include a max amount of what your offer is, what your offer will be on the home. So let's just say at increments of a $500. So they would have to also prove to us that we basically bid out another offer, and we would ask for proof of that. So let's just say we put in 250 and your escalation clause is up to 255. So if another competing offer comes in and they come in also at 250 and they have an escalation clause, it depends what their escalation clause is that will compete with yours. So they're just going to keep going over every $500 up to your max of 255. If their max is 253, then your max is going to be 253.5 for every $500 if that's what we include in the contract. So then they'll say, okay, we accepted your offer at 253.5 with the escalation clause. And then here is a copy of the competing offer to prove that we use your escalation clause to win this house. So then we have proof, not just saying that, okay, well, we're accepting your 255 as your max escalation with your max of escalation clause and not knowing what the other offers are. So then we know that, hey, you know what? We won the offer fair and square, and then you will be paying $253.5 instead of the $250, but not $255. So that's an example. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think I kind of understand that, but, you know, so we're just automatically going, you know, having to come out of pocket with another $3,000 or $4,000 to try and win this house.
Well, not necessarily out of pocket. It would be what you would be, your loan. If you qualify up to that certain point, we're not going to go above and beyond what you can't qualify. Now, we will also look at what the house is going to appraise at. So it's up to you whether you want to pay above the appraisal. So basically the value of the home. So if it's appraised at 250 and we're at 253.5 under contract, then we would either have to renegotiate, or that's when you do come out of pocket. But if you are approved for, let's just say 255, then you have no problem with the 253.5. So then your lender would send the pre-qualification or pre-approved letter for just the 253.5. And then that's what we would submit to the sellers.
Okay, but this is still costing me another $3,500.
Not necessarily. It's included in your loan. It's just going to be, I don't know, maybe $10 added to your payment. But
So you're saying the money's coming out of or money's coming out, you know, it's just an add to the payment. I'm not coming out with $3,500 to cover this difference.
You will only come out of the pocket if you agree to pay the difference of the value of the home at appraisal. That's the only time if you agree to it. We don't have to agree to that. So at that point, if the appraisal comes in lower, then that's when we can renegotiate and say, look, we offered 253.5, but it's only appraised at 250, so we need to renegotiate.
Okay, well, you know, yeah, I guess I'm still kind of lost in the numbers here. So I'm not paying another $3,500, but how am I paying for it?
It's included in your loan.
And included in the loan.
Yes, so instead of your loan, which you are approved at 255, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're approved for 255, then you would be looking for a home at 255, but we found one for 250 for you. So you still qualify. And so then the lender will send a pre-qualification letter only for the $253,500 for your offer on the home. So then that's where the extra $3,500 will come from, because it'll be included in the approval of your loan.
So it's coming, it's in the loan. So
I'm gonna break script right there. We're talking in circles. Cindy, don't be afraid to tell them, yes, you are paying $3,500 more. And the great thing is when it's embedded in your loan, it's only about $20 more a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Larry was trying to pull out of you. But we're going in circles.
Well, I did say that. I said it was only going to be maybe $10 more on your payment.
Yeah, but when he said, well, I'm going to pay $3,500 more,
no,
we never hit him with that black and white. We always hit him with the gray, right? They stay in the gray, they dance in the gray. But when you were to shut it down, say, yes, you are going to be paying more for the house. And then you can either go two ways. You can say, just matter of fact, it's only going to be $20 a month. Or Larry, wouldn't you tell me that the house is worth at least $20 more a month to you? And then ice it in. So tomorrow we're going to continue on this topic. There's some other things that I want to add to it when we're going to get into evaluations and appraisals that come shy of it. So it's going to be good stuff. Great jobs today, guys. Thank you for being engaged. It is 8:32. You've got 28 minutes or so until we start our all partners meeting. Links at 1kwsa.com, or check your cell phones. We have the link that was sent out. But if you did not get it, go to 1kwsa.com, click remote access training, and jump on in. What's Miss Cindy?
So I just wanted to ask real quick on a clue report.
Yes.
Real quick. So my seller has been trying to get that clue report, and he keeps calling his insurance company, and they're like going back and forth. So supposedly it's Geico. Geico sends it back to Travelers. Travelers sends them to somewhere else. Now he supposedly is trying to get it. How else can we explain to them? Like, so he says that he's going to be getting a letter. Now it's just calling a letter of experience.
Yep, that's what the technical term is.
Okay, so letter of experience but not a clue report.
So
whenever-
this is to give some the history. It's considered a letter of experience. It lets the insurance company say, "Hey, this is the experience we've had on this property." A letter of experience is the technical term. A clue report, much like Kleenex, is a brand name.
Okay,
We call all tissues Kleenex, right? Even though Kleenex itself is a trade brand name, a clue report was the trade branded company that would do those reports back in the early days. And that's where it's stuck from. Now, because Clue's no longer around, it's a letter of experience or an insurance claims history report.
yeah, well, I first worded it as an insurance claims history report, and then it was almost like they don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, then tell them it's a clue report. That's when I changed it to clue report. And then now he's like, so now they're like, okay, now I'm getting a letter of experience, but not a clue report. So I'm like, okay.
I've got an email address you can send a request to and probably get it quicker.
Well, he's supposedly now Geico's going to supply him with the letter finally.
Okay, good.
So, but anyway, I just wanted to check on that because I'm like, okay, it can't be that hard.
So is that the insurance industry term now, letter of experience?
Yeah, I
What's the
didn't,
term? Yes. So we need to change our terminology to match theirs.
right.
And then Geico doesn't have home insurance. They go through Travelers, FYI.
And then exactly, and that's what he said. So then I actually called Travelers this morning, and then she directed me to Geico. She's like, "Oh no, he has Geico." And then when I emailed my client, he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I call Geico," and then they send me back to Travelers. So it's like this back and forth. It was frustrating.
Yeah,
So-
Geico don't carry home. They
Yeah.
go through Travelers. So
Yeah. Note to everybody, if you have somebody that has Geico for home insurance, you're going to be dealing with Geico Travelers, Geico, and know that in advance, and letter of experience is the correct term. So we'll just align ourselves with what the industry is using.
Right.
I would suggest everyone get the phone number or email from Dan for the agency who can run your clue report. They did a fantastic job for me because my seller and the seller's agent would not get it for me. So it was nice.
Oh, can you send us that information, Dan?
What, Dan, you have a clearinghouse of some sort?
You're not talking about Lexus.
No, it's just a great gal.
Yeah, he mentioned
I have a
Lexus.
best friend that owns an insurance brokerage.
Oh, there you go.
He is awesome. I'll
So,
vouch.
I need to meet people so that when you guys need somebody, I got a resource for you. Her name is Stephanie Hernandez. She's actually the account assist executive for Stratton Everything Group. Stephanie Hernandez, and her email is stephanie@everythinginsurance.com. Everythinginsure.com. Email is in the chat. That's stephanie@everythinginsure.com. And if you want, and I'm going to plug Kimmy because I think she's amazing. If you want to shop your insurance rates and possibly save hundreds of dollars, email Kimmy, Kimi, @everythinginsure.com. Kimmy is one of the best agents I have ever worked for in the insurance industry. And I've known her since high school. She's been doing it for 15, 16 years at a high level. So
Okay, so this Stephanie is the one we can call to get the letter of experience for anybody?
yeah, send her an email and then she'll,
Okay. So then somebody else mentioned about LexisNexis. My client also mentioned that too, that he was directed to them too. Who is LexisNexis?
They
idea.
can go to they are a service. Back in the day, we're supposed to pay $10 and they would go get the letter from any company for you. Like you say, if your client didn't want to do the legwork, and usually they won't talk to us, right? But they will, but they can take a really long time from my experience, from my client's experience. But it's an option.
All right, I just didn't know who they were. He mentioned it, so. And I know, yeah, okay. All right, good to know. Awesome, thank you.
You're very, very
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in about 23 minutes.
Bye.